Welcome to the Game of Risk, everyone. I'm your host, OliveXC, a top player at this game. And today we are doing Tutor Tuesday, where I review a subscriber game and help them and you, the viewer, get better at the game of Risk. Today's game comes from Davos, a top Risk player playing a 6-player classic fixed game. And when I review a game, the first thing I always try to do is identify what continents are my opponents going for. I can see the black player probably wants to be going for Australia this game. The red player, I think, is showing initiative for North America. The green player is showing initiative for Europe. Now, I think I see the first mistake here from pink. Pink is showing initiative for South America. This is not a good move because of the purple player. The purple player has a lot of troops in this area, and they are very likely to be blasting the pink player. And they get attacker's advantage because they're 5th in the turn order and they get 5 troops. And if pink gets hit, and as you can see, the rolling is happening, it's much better to blitz if your odds are above 50% because you get attacker's advantage by doing so. But now you can see pink is in a really bad spot this game. Pink now only has 17 troops, and purple sacrificed a lot too, only being on 16. And now we see our protagonist, the blue player, is going. He has a very strong start for the Africa bonus. However, if purple keeps on weakening themselves against the pink player, it's possible that they'll be able to move forward into the bonus. If you rush and take a bonus too early in Classic Fixed, you will lose all of your initial advantage and just be in a really bad spot. Notice how black at least waited a little bit towards turn 2 before taking over the bonus. The only way that they can really get invaded is from the red player right now. But as long as red doesn't invade, they can leave all their troops on Australia in a given turn and continue building up their strength. Since they're also first in the turn order, they're likely going to be trading in first, and they're probably going to be okay. But I love green's initial move here. They are doing, I think, all the right moves. They are identifying their continent they wish to go for. They are clearly building up their troops and are not taking it fast. But look at pink and purple. When you rush a continent and you piss off a player, you guys both ruin each other's games. Look at this. Now purple has to attack pink again. Look how weak both of these players are right now. Both their games are basically over at this point because with only 7 troops guarding this area, it's very likely our protagonist, blue, can just take South America right now. I mean, there's 7 troops here in Africa, but why allow a purple player to be getting strong? And now you can see our protagonist is going for the move, but a couple of mistakes were made. First, he did the 5v3 last. 5v3 is about 70%, so it's not like super high. You also didn't make it purposeful by leaving the entire army right here to attack. If you had a couple of extra troops, you could have guaranteed the attack being successful while still having enough troops in. Finally, in turn 1, I see like you fortified the 4 in from before, but you could have always fortified your troops back and forth between Venezuela and Brazil on your last move. So lots of opportunities of having extra troops available, and you just didn't do it. So not the end of the world, but always something to keep in mind. When you want to go for an attack, try to keep the odds as high as possible to limit the risk involved with your moves. The other thing I have to be a little cautious on with the move is I think the turn order disadvantage you have by going 6th. The most impactful trades that occur in the game are the first trade-ins. This is because this is when armies are lowest and the impact of a trade is the highest. Now, as purple has a couple of big armies here and here, even though they're 5th in the turn order, if they are somehow able to survive to their trade-in and they just want to ruin your game, they can trade everything in and just blast you. And that can be very dangerous. Like, if this became a 19, you wouldn't die because you have this big army right here in Japan, which I think is a very good thing about South America, right? You always want to stay spread out. But if a player's acting emotionally because you took their bonus, you could just die. But that's ultimately a risk that you just have to accept. And now we can see a nice move being made by the black player. They recognize that purple green wants to get the bonus, so they are getting out. They're trying to be a good neighbor while also preserving their troops. If I were to predict the three-player endgame right now, it's probably going to be blue, red, and green, because red and green are trying to get the big continents, but not rushing to get them. They're waiting for their sets, which is the right time to go for it. And now pink trades in. They're on India. I think we know what happens here, you guys. And black gets slammed. That is so unfortunate. Oh man, this was not a good move by pink. Like, I know that pink needed a bonus for themselves, but at the same time, you have to think, how will the black player retaliate? Because with the black player located in 3 locations on the board, here, here, and here, it is very unlikely that they are going to be eliminated from the game. And as they're not going to be getting eliminated, what are they going to do if they're having a set on 4? I think it's very likely, because they're annoyed, they go into you. Because if you're saying it's an oops, but what else is black supposed to do? Sit around and do nothing? This is why the phrase "no Australia, no win" is a thing, man. Because you're probably losing now. So they got an average roll, 10 out of 10, but they're not even able to take out the pink player. So pink's game is done. Black is still alive with 16 troops. However, a lot of players are going to have the potentiality to eventually remove them from the game. Pink themselves is now very weak. The only thing going for their way is that they have this 1 stack alive right here. So their effective stack is around 5 to 6 troops, because anyone that wants to eliminate them has to go through a fair number of troops. Green, I think, has a good chance to eliminate pink, because they have to attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 territories to eliminate black from the game. They could have done that with a 9, but they chose to instead wait because pink is only on 1 card. Waiting for 2 or 3 cards is reasonable. However, this does allow purple, if they had a set, to eliminate pink. Like, purple has a set, though. This is dangerous. This is what I told you about before. Does purple go in and attack you because they're angry you took away South America? This is close. They're going up. They're right there in your face, but they don't blast you. They do, however, block you in. And now you do have a set here, and now you have to decide, do you blast black into purple? Do you try to take out the pink player? Do you take Australia for yourself? Do you diffuse tensions away from purple and move your 12 stack away? Here, I think the best move would be like to make this an 11 to eliminate the pink player, and then put the rest of your troops here for safety. Here you put extra troops down, and you're really keeping up the tension against purple, but I would just caution against that, because again, as these troop sizes get larger, tension builds between players, and that can cause, again, a lot of risk between everyone. And that's what we have to be a bit careful about. Also, because you did not take out the pink player, now black is kind of guarding them a little bit. It's a little bit harder to be eliminating them now. Everyone is just kind of saving up. And now we can see red is making a very good move, taking their bonus of North America, defending it well. They're on 35 troops. Excellent play from the red player. I haven't really seen any mistakes from them so far, which is why they're doing well. And now green trades in, and they're going in, and they're going to be eliminating pink, taking those cards. They're also not going to be taking the Europe bonus and are instead going to be taking the Australia, because no Australia, no win. I can understand eliminating the pink player, but I think I probably would have stuck with my Europe bonus because it's so much bigger in the game. And now we're at a critical point of the 4-player endgame, where our protagonist, Davos, is in the worst spot because South America, I think, is one of the weaker continents and a very stable board, especially when someone owns North America, someone owns Africa, because your points are blocked, right? You only have one small stack that if someone were to eliminate, most likely the Australia player, you lose the ability to get cards and you fall behind very quickly. The time to strike is now, because if purple gets another trade in, they're going to catch up, surpass you, and the game will stabilize. Also, black gets a very lucky trade in, and they are staying alive as well. You had a chance to potentially eliminate black, but unless they had a 10 set, which you can't guarantee having, because again, you got 2 horses, you don't know the cards of your opponent, we can see that you would have had to attack a 16 to get to there. We have no idea what might have happened there. Now we can see green trades in. Does green eliminate black? And I don't think so, because black is only on 1 card right now. And now does purple have a trade in? Again, purple can do a lot of damage. A lot of risk is kind of happening in this game where you're making kind of the right move, mostly the right moves, but the timing of that is what's like risky, right? One bad set could put you behind quickly. So with you having a set on 3, you being on 34 troops, you have a very high chance to eliminate your enemy, the purple player, who is building up against you. So when someone's antagonizing you, you need to take the attacker's advantage and you go for the move. I really like this here. You are eliminating the purple player from the game. You are getting their set. You're on 29 troops though. And my worry here is someone else going to eliminate you? So let's think about this. The red player has 42 troops. However, out of those 42, this 8 really can't be used. This 7 could take out your troops in the corner. They had a 10 set, 19, 22. They made this 32. They have to attack 1-2 territories to get to you. So really the effective stack size is like 31. It's ultimately very, I think, unlikely that they would have been able to do it, or have been incredibly risky. So having, I think, the black player or the red player wait made sense. As for the green player, as they only had 1 stack here, this other stack could not do so much. They didn't even take a card for themselves. They really couldn't take you out easily or without significant risk. And they're also allied with you, and you don't want to be completely ruining your alliance with your neighbor. So ultimately, I think the move made sense. And now, what I really like about your last move is you are leaving your pathways open in North Africa. You notice that the player next going to be eliminated is going to be the black player, as they're not needed for balance in the game. I think definitely here the red player or the green player should eliminate black. And if neither eliminates black, you should eliminate black, because you will be getting a trade in, and then the trading on the following turn, making up for your troops lost and getting to the even 3-player endgame. But red trades in. I think they missed a chance there to get the kill. 70 troops is really high. And does green go for the kill? No, both your opponents are being very passive. They don't understand about chain kills and the power of the cards in fixed. So now you have a good opportunity. Do you take out the black player here? 100% roll and guaranteed to be successful. And yes, you do. You're making a couple of extra attacks. So small mistake there, but you get a nice roll on the stack, +7. And now you're going to be able to trade in. You get an 8 trade followed by a 4 trade. A little unlucky there, but not the end of the world. And now we are in the even 3-player endgame scenario. What I love about your games, you're taking initiative, attacking your opponents, and really setting the tone of the game. It's a really advanced skill that top players need to do, influence, in order to move the game in their direction. But now in the 3-player scenario, we have to decide what's the best way to get the game going. Generally, the best thing that you can do is, I think, the Australian trap strategy, where one player owns Africa, Europe, and then they leave their 2 stacks on Ukraine and the Middle East, and then one player owns North America and South America. They leave the troops on Kamchatka. Then the Australian player generally has to blitz one of the 2 players, and if they don't, both players get exponentially large, throw their excess troops into the Australian player, ending them and the game. However, that requires a fair amount of coordination, and the red player clearly is holding a lot of troops right now. But ultimately, this is a standard 3-player endgame stalemate. So what ends up breaking the stalemate? So what moves ahead and what really breaks it, going ahead a little bit here, is that red opens up green, and green just gets so annoyed and they just slam the red player because they're falling too far behind, and the green player ends up taking way too long just holding up in Australia, hoping red and blue destroy each other. Sometimes you need to keep a map like a little bit more active. But you can see the balance of the game is almost broken. Red's on 74, you're on 101. If you were to trade in and eliminate the red player and get their set, you would lose maybe about 60 troops. You could be doing potentially taking the game, but it's not guaranteed if you have some bad rolls. Also, because your 30 is kind of stuck right here, you don't have the ability to attack a lot, so you really can't kill the red player right now. And you thought about hitting them, and again, that's a mistake. So instead, you just take over Australia, which I can kind of understand that move, and you defend it. But now what green's is probably going to do is they're going to hit you. They're going to go down through the 5, hit your 4. But since you move most of your troops away, the amount of damage that you'll have is minimal. And you'll still be getting 5 to 6 troops on your turn. And that's going to just be really good for you. What red should be doing now is hitting you as hard as possible and like trying to weaken you in hopes that green does not self-destruct and hit you too hard. Because if green ends up opening up your 16 stack to be guaranteeing eliminating you, that's just going to be the end. I also really like your move to be holding on to your cards on 5 to make yourself appear a little bit weaker, because now you can trade in, you can save your wild card. I would have let the extra troops on Siam, but not the end of the world, because you have more than enough to break the green player, kill and end them from this game. You do leave a couple of extra troops down here. You didn't need that many, because now you're going to be getting another 10 sets. You're saving your wild, you're eliminating them, and now all you need to do is leave about 7 troops here to attack and break these territories. You want to prioritize not attacking Greenland, Iceland's versus these 3 territories, because you want to leave this 36 trapped. As long as the 36 is trapped and you break everything, you're going to win the game. But red just gives up because they know that they can't do anything. So thank you again, Davos, for showing this. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. This is OliveXC, signing off.